right, good evening, Chelsea Piers family and friends. Zach Fado here, personal trainer, along with other trainers Anthony, Dan, and Matt. Today, we're here to talk to you about healthy habits for the holidays. Now, holidays can be somewhat of a stressful time of the year. You get out of your routine, all that kind of stuff. So today, we're going to help you kind of navigate through here. Our goal of the webinar is to have you enjoy yourself throughout the holidays while staying on track and not feeling guilty about having a good time. So to start off, we're going to get a little introductions from each of the trainers. So let's start off with Anthony. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Anthony. I'm representing Chelsea Piers in downtown Brooklyn. I've been a personal trainer for going on 12 years. And in the later years, have been definitely focused on coaching and behavior change and nutrition. So this is a great subject, and I love to chime in and grateful to be here.
Nice. So I guess I'll introduce myself. My name's Dan. This is actually my first year being a personal trainer, just graduated from college. Plans are for next year to apply for a master's degree in nutrition. Later down the line, I want to become a registered dietitian. So today I'll be covering a lot of like the nutrition sides and stuff like that. Played tennis all my life through college and stuff. So I kind of I understand the aspects about the personal training along with the physical fitness as well. So that's just my background.
Perfect. And then we got Matt and Dan. Can you just go to the next slide for me?
Yep, I got you.
Thank you.
Oof, I got to get that headshot done again. Matt Lemons, as you can see, personal trainer for 20 years, Bachelor of Science, Nutrition and Dietetics. Played a lot of sports. I've seen a lot of different types of scenarios with clients. So I look forward to the presentation and some questions and helping you guys.
All right. And like I said before, I'm Zach Fado, everybody. I'm also a trainer. I'm in the Stanford location as well. So before we go into the first slide, if you guys have any questions at all throughout this, feel free to put them in the chat. And at the end of this, we'll answer all the questions. With that being said, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start off with your first routine, and Anthony's going to take it away.
Thanks, Zach. Yes. Routine. It's one in which when you're navigating the holidays, when temptations around or falling off track is quite common, routine is one of those things that can keep you grounded and keep you from falling off the wagon. So in breaking down routine and why it's important and why it's so challenging during the holidays to keep your routine, well, you know, our brains rely on routine and habits, and it's a part of your non-conscious aspect of your mind. That's 90 to 95% of our decision-making. So with that being case, and you know, the other part of your brain that is in control of impulse control and planning and saying no when the temptations are there, that part of you is limited. So with that understanding, you know, routine is working with your powerful non-conscious to help you navigate the new temptations of parties and maybe more stress and etc. So in breaking down and understanding each part a little bit more, the conscious part of our minds, this, you know, like I said, impulse control, it's very powerful in the sense that it can create awareness, but it's vulnerable and it's limited. So it's the things that it's vulnerable to: stress, something that we all deal with. The more stress you have, the less that part of your mind is operating. Then you have fatigue and even hunger. So we'll get into you know, why it's important to eat a satiating meal, so that way you can make better decisions. But, you know, we're talking about routine mainly, and that is the automatic part that you're trying to talk to and have work with your goals. So when you're talking about that powerful non-conscious part of your mind that makes 90 to 95% of your decisions, it prioritizes survival and reward, or another way of saying it, pain and pleasure. And if you're not conscious, you'll be creating habits that you had no idea you'd be creating. And it has a strong relationship with the environment. So when it's holiday season and there's parties and you're not maybe going in your daily routine and highly palatable caloric food all around, you will fall victim more times than not if you're not on top of things. So a great strategy is to get in front of it and consciously create new habits and routines. So in order to do so, it's good to break down what makes a habit. So what triggers behavior, whether it's good or what we deem good or bad, is a cue. And cue could be the time of day. It could be people, certain people that you're around are party animals. Some people that you're around love to exercise. You have occasions. So we're talking about the holidays, birthdays, things that trigger a behavior that you either agree with or you don't agree with. And then reward is what closes a habit, or at least reinforces or diminishes a habit. So when it comes to making healthy decisions, is usually something that is in a long-term reward, not immediate gratifications. That's why bad habits and bad routines are so easy to create, because they're mindless. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to go the immediate gratification route versus the delayed gratification route. So getting in front of it and saying, okay, I know I'm going to be facing some challenging times. This is a closing of the year. We have budgets we have to create. We have bonuses coming. I'm stressed. If you understand the cue, routine, and reward loop, then it's really helpful. For example, if you love cake and you're receiving cakes from the office, you want to put it out of view. So a cue of seeing it doesn't make you mindlessly eat it. So you put it away, or don't even bring it into your house. Like I mentioned earlier, you have your non-conscious has a strong relationship with your environment. And as far as reward and reinforcing a behavior, something like practicing gratitude, or really noticing how good you feel when you make a strong decision. That, it's long-term, the reward, typically when you're talking about working out and eating well. But when you're in the moment and you say, and you're proud of you showing willpower, then that could reinforce the reward. Reinforce the habit. So some healthy habits before we move on to the next slide. Eating a satiating breakfast. So that is to empower the part of your mind that can train and condition your non-conscious. If you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not eating well, you're going to be susceptible. So one of the habits is making sure that you have breakfast before you go out in the day, and you don't overeat, or when you do go to a party over there and you have no control of what's on the menu. Drinking water throughout the day. So when you drink water, that's something that could be something you forget about. At the end of the day, you look back and you say, man, I didn't drink enough water that day. So creating a routine where you drink water first thing you do when you get up, and having your bottle ready when you're going to work or to the gym. And then, ask yourself how much water you drink at the end of the day. That's a good routine to get into, especially during stressful times. You can easily forget to drink water. Plan exercise and your routine for the week. So when you know that you're going to be going to the gym 5 days a week at a certain time, the chances are you're going to do it more so than if you are not planning or getting in a routine which you have the same cues and get into a habit that way. Meditation, that's a powerful one. It's a great tool to use when you're trying to monitor some of the things that your non-conscious is making you behave. You can stop and ask yourself, okay, is this the decision I want to make? That will lead to a better decision, and meditating really helps with that. And lastly, journaling. Journaling, another one that brings about awareness. So writing a journal and reflecting on your day, keeping your goals that you set top of mind. How did you do today? Could you have done better? What are the limiting factors that you'll do better the next day? And then gratitude. So mentioning the reinforcing healthy habits, they're tough because they're long-term rewards. When you practice gratitude and you can, be grateful for how strong you are or, your health currently, it really helps when you're trying to gather some steam versus you being upset that you're not being perfect and going the opposite way. So those are some routines that I believe could help you during the healthy habits, during the holidays, I should say.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. I love that. That was great on the cue, routine, and reward. One little thing I want to add on the whole routine is to the viewers, don't think that you have to adopt new healthy routines right now. Think about what's on that list that you already do well. If you drink enough water throughout the day, make that a priority throughout the holiday season that you're going to keep that habit. You don't need to pick up new habits right now, but think about keeping the healthy ones you already have. That was great. Matt or Dan, do you have anything to add on the routine?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can really say to all of that stuff is just to try to keep everything simple, keep everything concise. If you're a person who goes by routine, wakes up at 6 a.m., has coffee at 6:15, starts work at 6:30, then so be it. Try to keep a healthy routine going on through the holidays. And if you're not, just keep all of these things in mind as well. They're only really here to help you. But the more you can kind of stick with the routine, the more aware you are of the situation, and probably the better outcomes that you'll have throughout the holidays. So that's all I can say.
Yeah. I think it depends on the person. I mean, I'm definitely think it's worth having a routine going into the holidays and having a routine period, because there's holidays, there's vacations, there's all these bumps in the road throughout the year. So that's the whole point in having a routine, so that you go back to it depending on how long you've been in your routine. So but you got to make sure it's a routine that's working for you, and I'll touch on that later. So
Awesome. Perfect. And with that being said, we'll go to the next slide. Our routine, our next habit is being present, and I'm going to take over this one. So the main bullet points I had for this were food, family, stress, be in the moment, step away from distractions. So what I mean by being present, when you're being present, you are in the moment. You're not thinking about past, you're not thinking about the future. So with your food, you are taking the time to chew your food. You are not mindlessly eating. So you're not talking with your uncle and just shoving chips in your face. No, you're taking in, using your senses, the colors of the food, using your sight, the smell of the food, the texture, all that stuff, the taste. Take into consideration all these things. Slow down the process. That's one thing you want to do with your food. That's going to help you not overconsume. We have plenty of highly palatable foods all around. What that means is those are the foods that pretty much hijack your system and tell you to eat more. Your brain says, this tastes great, let's keep going. And most of them don't have that many nutrients in them, so they don't fill us up as well. So this is where being mindful comes into play while you're eating. With your family, you're going to want to take in the time with them. When's the last time you saw your aunt, your uncle, your cousins? Probably been a while, especially with the past year that we had with holidays. This might be the first time in 2-3 years that you've seen them. So taking the time, put away the distractions, put your phone down, all that stuff. For stress, like I said before, when you're in the moment, you're actually thinking about right now, and that's it. When you think about the future, most times people think about the future and it's filled with anxiety. We don't know what the future is going to hold. When you think about the past, most people think with regret about the past. Be in the moment, you don't have anxiety. You don't have regret. You're in the moment enjoying what you're doing right now. And then the last one is stepping away from distractions. That's putting your phone down. Leave the messages, the emails, all that stuff away. This is the holiday season. This is the time to be with your family, your loved ones. Work will be there next week. Try not to stress. Enjoy the moments that you have right now with your family. And that's what I have for being present. If any of you other trainers want to add on, feel free.
Yeah, so agree with everything that you mentioned. The one that stands out to me, definitely, being in the moment and stress, they go hand in hand. As you know, mentioned in the previous slide, the cue doesn't necessarily have to be a visual cue. It could be an emotion like stress or boredom. So when you're present, you are mitigating stress. You're not thinking about the future. That can make you anxious, and the past can bring up some negative thoughts. So whenever you get in that place, understand that stress can be a trigger to eat those high palatable foods. So that's what I want to add to that. But yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you guys said. And the next slide that I'm going to be presenting on, I'm going to touch on the food and then be in the moment part of it as well. And obviously all of this stuff interplays with each other. I'll save it for the next one. So.
Perfect. Matt, anything?
No, this all sounds great, but are you doing it?
Yeah,
Heard this all
we'll get
before.
there.
This is good stuff, but are we doing it? You know,
We'll go
you
to
really
the
have to.
then, and Dan is going to present that one.
There you go. All right.
Gotcha. So the whole goal of this is just to try to keep a healthy balance. I'm going to keep rehashing this and rehashing it. And I'm going to go back to Anthony and Zach's points as well. The first one I wanted to stress is this time is meant to be enjoyable. It's obviously the holidays. The whole goal of this is to have fun while you're spending time with friends and family. But while you're doing that, we're going to try to keep a couple things in mind. Obviously, this is, we're going to also try to have a little bit of a routine. And the first one that I'm going to touch on is portion control. So with the portion control, obviously there's going to be a lot of food. And as we were saying earlier, there's going to be a lot of palatable food. When you start to mix fats, carbohydrates, and a lot of salt, you can just stuff everything in your face. Everything tastes great. The only problem is it gets very calorically dense. So all of a sudden, you could be having a whole plate of food, and there goes basically your whole caloric day's needs. So what I wanted to try to stress to you guys is maybe to take smaller portions at a time, just little plates. And if you guys can like take a little plate, have maybe a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbs, and a little bit of fats, slowly eat it. Just enjoy the food, enjoy talking with your friends and family. Maybe wait 15 minutes after, and then judge and see if you guys want to go up for seconds. If you're really hungry, go ahead and go up for seconds, because this time is meant to be enjoyable and you want to have the best time possible. But if you guys aren't hungry, then just wait it out. There's no point in stuffing your face and eating like an a-hole for like 5 days straight. You know, you're gonna go to parties, you're gonna go with friends and family and all this other stuff. So just take it step by step, relax and enjoy. So with the whole portion control thing, obviously a big part of us going to the gym is trying to live a healthy lifestyle, living a healthy lifestyle while we're lifting weights, while we're going out for walks, runs. Protein is obviously very important. Protein's one of the key macronutrients, has its benefits both in terms of like recovery. But what I wanted to touch on as well is the thermic effect of food. So the thermic effect of food is how many calories it takes for your body to digest certain amounts. Protein obviously has the highest thermic effect of food. That's why I wanted to touch on it. It has anywhere between 20 or 30% to get really technical with it. So if you are going to overeat, I would advise to overeat on protein. Just a little plus out of that, you might be burning a little bit more calories that you can save for later. So the second big point that I wanted to touch on is if you are going to be eating in a surplus, so what? The whole point of this is to be with your friends and family and enjoy this time. Um, if you do eat in a surplus, the greatest thing is that most of you guys are already going to the gym. You guys are working with trainers and you guys like to work out as well. Eating in a surplus, you only have more energy to use. So when you go back in the gym, it's even better. You'll be able to get a better lift in. You'll be able to feel a little bit better walking around. And I wanted to stress as well with this, you don't really need to stress. Obviously, if you do eat a little bit too much, you might feel a little bit bloated. If you weigh yourself every day, you might see the scale weight go up. Just wait about 48 to 72 hours. It's probably just like excess bloat, excess water. It's all going to get out of your system. There's no need to stress about all this stuff. And like Anthony was saying earlier, there's obviously a conscious and unconscious part in all of this stuff. I would say if you guys do overeat on food and you're feeling really bloated, really good thing to do, go out for a nice little walk, enjoying your friends and family. Maybe take one or two of them with you, like a mile or two. There's no need to overdo anything here. The whole goal is to relax during the holidays. So maybe just like 2 or 3 o'clock, if the sun's shining, you guys are feeling it, go out for a little walk, enjoy yourself. You can digest your food, come back, sit down. If you guys want to eat a little more or do whatever, go ahead. The unconscious part of this stuff, though, is if we do overeat, we have what's called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which long word, but it's abbreviated as NEAT. Obviously, the more food that you eat, the more energy that you have. Your body is going to try to use a little bit more of that energy as well. So NEAT is basically measured by like the amount of fidgeting that you're doing, the non-formal forms of cardio. So just like walking around, going grocery shopping, walking up the stairs. Unconsciously, you're going to start to do a little bit more of that if you overeat. So you're probably going to be burning a little bit more calories from that as well. So again, no need to stress. The third point I wanted to talk about is don't try to overtrain or earn your calories. That can kind of get down a really slippery slope in terms of eating disorders. The whole point of this is to minimize the unnecessary fatigue that we're going to be putting on our bodies. So if you guys are overeating, it's great. You can go back into the gym, work with your trainer, go out for a little walk. It's great. The whole goal of this, if you aren't going into the gym in this time, just relax, get all that fatigue out of your body. If you're having a really busy work week, hopefully this 1 or 2 days, we'll try at least to de-stress and minimize the amount of work that we're actually doing so we can hit the ground running when we go back into the gym. The whole goal of this is to optimize our performance and improve our overall health. And we're trying to shape our routine for a healthy lifestyle as well. So.
That was great, Dan. Great job. I love the trick of using a smaller plate. I love that little trick. Smaller plate, you can't fit as many calories in there. One little thing I like to tell my clients also when they're making their plate with the portion control is to go in order. So first fill up most of your plate with the vegetables, then your protein afterwards. Then what you have left over is going to be those starchy carbs. So anybody else have anything to add?
Yeah, I love the title, Keeping a Healthy Balance. The expectation is not to be perfect. Even us as coaches are going to indulge here and there. But what's most important is what you're doing consistently. And, going on the walks, that's a healthy habit. Increasing NEAT, that's something you do throughout the year. But definitely it's helpful when you're eating a lot in your day. And it's again, a mindless, unconscious behavior. The job that we have, we're on our feet all day. We might, we go into different sessions. We have a lot of steps we take in our day. Before I even look, I have 20,000 steps, whereas someone else is only at 5,000. So being mindful of increasing and building a routine where you can burn extra calories and it being a habit and contributing to NEAT, I think is a awesome strategy.
That's a great point. I think a lot of people realize the value of neat when they started working from home and started using the stairs less. Their office and the bathroom were only 5 steps away versus 30 steps throughout the day. So people have put on a lot of weight because they haven't been moving as much. I love that. All right, and if that's it, we're going to go to the next slide, and Matt's going to take over.
I think Matt wanted to actually say something real quick.
Perfect, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just roll from this right into, I guess, my slides here. Slide. Yeah, so great points. That's why the gizmos are cool. You know, whatever one works for you through this pandemic, we've obviously seen what happens on our Apple Watch, you know, compared to pre-pandemic. How many steps, how much moving, how many calories are you burning? And, you know, what's cool about these things, if you use them long enough, you can track over years and you get to see through the holidays and different times of the year compared to other years, how many calories did you burn? What were you doing? What did I do different? And that's where this stuff has a lot of value. And it's cool because if you wear it, you wear it every day, then it's there, you know, it tracks the information. So
yeah. Totally agree with you. I also wanted to say one more thing going off of Zach's points as well. So with the whole like eating more nutrient dense foods, obviously I was saying to grab a little bit of protein or a little bit more protein than carbs and fats. If you guys are grabbing a decent amount of veggies, you're going to probably having a lot of fiber. Fiber is going to slow down the digestion along with the protein. It's probably going to make you a little bit more full as well. And you're probably less likely to go back for seconds. Another good tool that all of you guys can use as well is if you're accustomed to maybe having like a dessert every single night, which is totally fine. I do it myself. But if you're accustomed to doing that, maybe save like 2, 3, 4 days before the holidays. Don't have that dessert. So you just have a little bit more leeway in terms of what you guys want to eat. If you're saving something up, if like your aunt makes this awesome pie or whatever, go for the pie. You saved up those calories, you earned it. It's time to relax, enjoy yourself. So I'll flip to the next one.
Yeah, so great points there. And I'm glad you mentioned that at the end about, you know, eating fiber and protein first, because that's what it does, right? It makes you feel full. So I often, one of my tricks, if I know I'm going somewhere and it's not food like Thanksgiving food that I want to really basically blow it out, but I'm going to have the peer pressure, I'll eat a salad before I go. This way I'm not hungry even when I get there. And when I have whatever I have, I already have food in my belly, so I automatically make better choices. So that's one of my tricks that I often do. But I still have enough, you know, room in my stomach to enjoy and be social or whatever. All right, so have a plan. I'm just gonna say that because it's on the slide for now, and I'm gonna come back to it. Obviously, that's what I think so many people are lacking, right? You could say it, you could think about it, but you need to do more than that. You know, you have to write this stuff down. You have to put it, or, you know, put it in your phone, in your schedule, whether it's your workouts, training sessions, your food, things you want to remember for the day to build these habits in. They need to go into the phone or the schedule. It has to be part of your day. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. We all know that. You know, I do all kinds of stuff. I have lists everywhere. It drives my girlfriend crazy. You know, these things are on the counter, they're in my car, they're on the refrigerator. But guess what? I don't forget. I mean, I forget in my mind, but I see those lists, and that's how I keep myself together. So anyway, so let's move on to the next one. What happened last year? Right. So I think it's good to have a routine. It's good to keep what is good about your routine. But what happened last year? Did your routine work? Did it hold strong through the holidays? You got to reflect, right? So if it didn't, what worked that I want to keep and what didn't work. Let me write down some ideas. Let me think about a different approach. What can I do? And holidays are obviously different than, your general plan for the year or whatever. We're going to do that at the end. We're going to do it live. Okay. So we're going to actually write out a plan. The next thing is, what do you want your outcome to be? Right. So we're going into Thanksgiving, right? My outcome is I want to enjoy that meal. I love that food. I am going to get X amount of workouts in before I have that food. And it's mostly healthy stuff. So it's a little different than, it depends where you go, I guess, right? If your family cooks a lot of pies and desserts and all, which most do, but do you really love that food? So a lot of these events, I don't really care for a lot of the food that might be there, except Thanksgiving. I really like it. Like, I don't care. I'm blowing it out, but I'm going to prepare for it, right? So what do you want your outcome to be? If you've been in a routine and you feel good about it, you've gotten to that place where you feel like you're in a groove, what's the risk here if you don't have a plan for the holiday going in? Are you going to end up falling off your routine with all the hard work you put in? That's what you want to think about. And if you're worried about that, then yeah, you got to put something together. Let's see. Yeah. Well, what will happen if I don't have a plan? Having the routine going into the holiday. Obviously, we mentioned that. That's going to be better than not having one. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'll start after the holidays." That's not a good plan. I'm sorry, but it gets pushed back. You gain another 5 pounds or so, and then you're so exhausted from the holidays that then you don't start till the third week of January, and you're so many steps back. You're gonna do better if you have a routine in place prior to the holidays. So that's my advice there. When you go to your event, as mentioned by you guys, plan on going for a walk. Take these people for a walk. Be the initiator. Kids, whoever, games, like, eat your food and your drinks and whatever you're gonna do, but move. Just like go for a walk. It's fun. You get to catch up with everyone and keep them talking. And before you know it, you walk like 3 miles, maybe more. If there's some kids there, some games, try to move around and play. That's what I always do with people. I mean, I'm a trainer, so I know it's kind of my role, but I like doing it anyway, because one of the best things for you to do after you eat is to go for a walk. It helps in digestion. It's good for you. Portion control was mentioned. That's one of my plans I've always stuck to, is go for one plate, whatever you can fit on one plate. And you could use a smaller plate if you want to try that, but I do one big one and then I wait it out, because it takes 20 minutes or something for the feeling of satiety to fully kick in, something like that. So if you wait a little while and ask yourself, am I hungry or do I just like want this stuff? So, and that question really does kind of work. So I've done that a number of times. And let's see. Right. So here's another one. Aside from having your routine prior to the holiday, is schedule your workouts, your training sessions before the holiday for when you return. In other words, they're already in your schedule. You know what you're doing when you get back from holiday. Because if it's not in your schedule, I guarantee you something else is going to get in the way. And it's not going to happen. And that's how you go on the, a few days here, a week off, yo-yo. You got to be dedicated, and that's how you do it. You have to plan. So let's do this. Why don't we have you guys chime in if you have anything to add, and then I'm gonna kind of run through an example, I guess. Yeah.
I thought that was great. So one of the things that I really loved was the fact that you said eating a salad before you go. a lot of people tend to do the whole, I'm not going to eat until I get to the event. I'm going to save my calories. And to me, that kind of does a binge restrict mentality where it's like, I didn't eat all day. Then you go there and you're super hungry. Then those highly palatable foods are so much easier to just shovel down. So eating something nutritious before you go is a great idea. I love that. And a little interjection about your lists to have me cracking up. You might have saw me looking to the side. I have lists on my phone, not sticky notes all over, but whenever my fiance needs something remembered, she tells me to put it on my list. So lists are a good thing to have.
Yeah, and I agree with you as far as, what outcome do you want? And, another word for outcome is the goal, and having that top of mind. When you make lists, that also keeps your goals top of mind, or the tasks that you need to have. And that can help you when you're faced with difficult times, you have the plan and you have clarity, and it's not fuzzy. So the more confusion, the more fuzzy things are, the least when you don't have things or goals top of mind, then you're really vulnerable to the holidays and all the temptations and all the good stuff that it is going to provide, is going to offer you. And then it's your job to say yes or no. And when you have your outcome and your goal in mind, it can help with that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I kind of wanted to touch on was the portion control as well. With the whole big plate, sometimes a big plate works for some people. If you tend to overeat and you always want seconds, the number one thing, like we were saying earlier, just wait it out for 20 minutes or so. Let the satiety kick in and ask yourself what Matt was saying earlier. Am I really hungry, or do I actually want these foods? If you are one of those people that kind of want to just wait it out and you know that you're going to have like another 3 or 4 parties, maybe grab a smaller plate. Usually the larger plates that you get, the more inclined you are to like have the whole plate, especially if you like to scarf down food. Your satiety signals aren't going to really kick in that fast. So a smaller plate probably fit 3/4 of the same amount, and you probably feel just as full, if not even better, about yourself. So that's my 2 cents. But do we want to go to Matt's plan now?
Oh, cool.
Do it,
Thanks.
Matt.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so let's just use some examples. And once again, writing it down, whatever, thinking about it even. So the name of my slide is keeping it simple. So keep it simple. Don't overwhelm yourself, because that's not hard to do often, right? And it's the holidays and you want to go enjoy. We get it. But think of something. Make some kind of effort to do better, so that when you reflect on this idea for, let's say, food, nutrition, because you're going there to eat, you're not really going there to exercise, but it's great if you move, that's cool. And you don't usually do that if you go for a walk. But then when you're there, like, think about who you're going to be dealing with. You guys know who's going to be at these things often, what kind of food is going to be served. And maybe peer pressure to Aunt Sue's cupcakes is like too much. How are you going to handle that? What are you going to tell her? I find myself in that situation still. Like, people make home cooked stuff, and I'm like, it's not crap from the store. I'm like, they made it. I feel bad not having it. So like, what am I going to do in that situation? So you got to kind of think of it that way too. So you can have this plan that's pretty straightforward, but peer pressure is a real thing. And when you're in the moment, it's not easy. What's
One
that?
little trick I've had with peer pressure, instead of saying I can't have this to people, say I don't want it. I can't leads to more questions. What do you mean you can't? Well, I'm on a diet right now. I don't want it is a statement. I don't want it. That's just a little trick.
I've also found as well that people, if you do tell them that you have some sort of goal in mind, or you're trying to do something for the month, or trying to look maybe a certain way, that they're going to be a little bit more receptive towards your goals and what you actually want. So although the first task is obviously to say, hey, maybe I'll try it later, or I don't want it right now. Maybe I'll just have it a little later on. Typically they'll be like, oh, okay, like I understand that. If you want, try it out a little later. If not, no worries. People tend to not keep pressuring you to have the same food once you say no, especially more than once. So
Unless, of course,
it's your aunt Sue.
Aunt Sue makes, unless, of course, Aunt Sue makes that batch of cookies specifically for you. Then what are you gonna do?
Yeah, enjoy them and then take it and then have a walk right after.
Or
Yeah,
that.
There you go, Anthony. Yep.
yeah, exactly. You could say that to Aunt Sue. Be like, all right, Aunt Sue, I'll eat a couple of these cookies, but you got to go for a walk with me.
Perfect.
So yeah, so if I was doing a plan, right? If anybody's live here and you want to write something down, do it now. Let's do it. So pick something that you want to try to do different this year. So if it's eat one plate of food, eat on a smaller plate, or only have, one piece of pie, like actually write it down right now as part of your strategy. And write down what you want your outcome to be, after you have that food. Do you want to feel sluggish and tired and like crap the next day? Because you're probably going to. Or do you want to feel more energized, get some good rest, and get back on your routine? Think
And also,
about. Go ahead.
I was just gonna add one really quick thing in there. Just like the New Year's resolution goals, a ton of people fall off the bandwagon there. They'll write a bunch of stuff down thinking they're gonna do all this stuff. Meanwhile, 3 weeks down the road, they kind of screw it all up and say, oh, maybe I'll start it again, like 2 weeks, push it off to a month, 2 months, and then it never happens. So everything that you guys try to do, or everything that if you are going to write down your goals and what you want to do, try to keep it attainable. Don't overshoot. Don't try to write down that you're going to lose 5 pounds during the holidays, because number one, you're supposed to spend time with friends and family. So enjoy yourself. Number two, it's just not attainable. And also you're taking yourself away from spending time, enjoying and relaxing. So everything that you guys try to do, I'm just going to rehash this one more time. Just make it attainable and make sure that you're actually going to be able to follow it.
Good point. Thanks for saying that. I actually wrote that on my notes a bunch of times, and I didn't mention just to be realistic, and be realistic in a holiday way. That's not the same as your regular weeks, right? I mean, you want to enjoy yourself. So what's realistic during the holiday? Realistic is I'm going to have some drinks and some food and too many calories and some pie, but do I need to blow it out? No, I don't. I could scale it back and still have a great time and enjoy myself. So you want to look at this reflecting, wow, I actually, that was cool. It worked. Like I enjoyed myself. I had a little bit of everything. I went for a walk. Like this is stuff I actually say to myself, and works every time. So, and there's many of these events where there's just too much cookies and junk that, I've had it all before. I mean, that's also another thing you can ask yourself. It's like, I could have this anytime I want. Don't tell yourself you can't have it, and you can have it next year or next week, whatever. So, all right, I think I'm pretty good.
That was a great point, Matt. Very good. So if anybody has any last minute things to chime in, they can. And if anybody has any questions right now, you can put them down in the chat. So any of you guys have anything else to add?
Oh,
We pretty much covered everything.
Perfect. So while people are typing questions in right now, if you're watching a recorded version of this and you wanted to ask us some questions, we do have some Meet the Trainer type of events going on this week. So in the city, it is tomorrow night. I believe like 5 to 7. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think it should be the time in the city. And then in Stanford location, Wednesday, we have 5 to 7. go to the gym, meet the trainers, ask any questions. And also, if you see us around on the floor, we're all pretty nice guys. You can come over, tap us on the shoulder, say, hey, I watched the webinar and I had a couple questions on it. Or if you have questions on exercises or anything like that, we're here to help you guys. So feel free to use us.
Yeah, here in Brooklyn,
Exactly.
trainer is from 6 to 8, I believe.
6 to 8. Okay. Thank you very much.
I have that
Anthony.
too.
So 6 to 8 in Brooklyn. Okay. So then Stanford is the one that is 5 to 7.
Looks like we have, oh, never mind. Thought that was a question in there.
I thought the same thing too.
We just got to note that Stanford is from 6 to 8 as well.
All right. So Stanford 6 to 8 as well too. All right. So 6 to 8 all around then. All
Okay.
right, well, questions. Thank you all for those that attended and for those of you that watched. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care and happy holidays, everybody.
All right.
Thank you,
that's it.
guys.